The Block 2 Eurocopter Tiger HAD flies for France in War Thunder. Let's check it out. The Eurocopter Tiger went through a long and protracted development starting in the mid-1980s, but was delayed many times due to changing requirements, shifting geopolitical priorities, and technical challenges. The first prototype flew in 1991, but the final product didn't enter operational service with the French Army until 2005. The Tiger was produced in different versions for the different international customers, with some slight differences between them, with the HAP version being operated by France. The HAP was envisioned as a multi-role battlefield helicopter capable of performing direct fire close air support, reconnaissance, communication support, and air-to-air operations against other helicopters or low-flying aircraft. It featured a chin-mounted 30mm cannon and a variety of rockets and missiles for different purposes. The HAD version, which was tailored to requirements from Spain, included upgraded engines, satellite communications equipment, additional weapons compatibility, and classified changes to its ballistics armor. The HAD proved to be pretty capable, especially with its upgraded engine, and the French Army eventually made the decision to upgrade their HAP Tigers to the HAD standard. In addition to upgrading existing airframes, a small production run of new-built HAD models was done for France, which are commonly referred to as the Block 2 or Mark II Tigers. They include all the advanced features of the original version for Spain, but also made some minor changes to the electronic systems. A total of about 65 EC-665 Tiger helicopters are currently flying for the French Army. What we get in War Thunder is the EC-665 Tiger HAD Block 2. This is an attack helicopter with a very long name and rank 7 of the French air tree at battle rating 11.7. The combat system on this helicopter has a fully featured ballistics computer with really high quality thermals, a very strong 92x optical zoom, an auto tracker, and an E through J band radar warning receiver, plus a missile approach warning system. Basically, all of the high-end features you could ask for. It also has an integrated 30mm cannon under the chin. For loadouts, only 4 pylons, but you can take SNEB rockets, air-to-air missiles, and anti-tank missiles in various combinations, including on multiple ejector racks. For the air-to-air missiles, you can choose between the Mistral or the ATAS, more commonly known as the Stinger. Personally, I would suggest the Mistral. It has better range, it tracks better, and it pulls a little harder. Both are all-aspect infrared missiles. Your first anti-tank missile is the AGM-114K Hellfire. This is a semi-active laser-guided anti-tank missile with inertial tracking and a strong tandem heat warhead. Its practical effective range is around 6 or 7 kilometers depending on the situation. By this point in the tech tree, you're probably familiar with the Hellfire. Your upgraded anti-tank missile is the Spike ER. This is a fire-and-forget infrared-guided missile. It has a smaller warhead than the Hellfire, and it flies a lot slower. But since it's IR-guided, you can turn away after firing it. I'll be comparing the Spike and Hellfire in a couple of minutes. The flight performance on the HAD Block 2 is pretty good overall, with only a few minor annoyances. Like all of the other Eurocopter Tigers, this helicopter is excessively stable. That's usually a good thing, as it makes for fairly easy treetop level flight, and it's an excellent weapon platform in a flat hover. But it means that it tends to right itself when you let off cyclic input almost instantaneously. Now, this isn't a bad thing, but it will take some time to get used to if you're switching in from another tech tree or something. It's generally the same quirk that the other Eurocopter Tigers have. Something else to know about: the collective response is kinda crap in most situations, at least compared to other top-tier helicopters. This isn't as much of an issue once you get moving, but if you're maintaining a hover, it can make popping up and down from behind cover a little less responsive than you might be used to. The good news is that the cyclic response is instantaneous and strong. This helicopter is fully aerobatic, and it can pull off loops and barrel rolls somewhat quickly, losing only a small amount of altitude in the process. Now, the obvious question is, why would you want to? And really, most of the time, airshow stunts like that don't do much for you in War Thunder battles, but still, the capability is there, and if you're ever in one of those exceptionally rare situations where you absolutely need to pull an Immelman or something in a helicopter, you can. Taking the HAD Block 2 into ground battles is fairly typical of the top-tier helicopter meta. The Sneb rockets and cannon are totally viable for rocket rush attacks, but just remember, you're seriously vulnerable when you get up close to the battlefield like that. Your main tactic is going to be playing hide-and-seek with standoff missile attacks and taking pot shots at aircraft. This brings us to the choice of anti-tank missile. Now, I want to mention something pretty important right up front. You can split your pylons with the custom loadouts and take 4 spikes and 4 Hellfires at the same time, so keep that in mind as you're considering the trade-offs. Anyway, the obvious advantage with the Spike ER is that it's a fire-and-forget weapon. You don't need to babysit the missile as it flies into the target with a laze the way that you do with the Hellfires. This allows you to do sneaky stuff, hiding in terrain, or relocate completely immediately after taking shots. The catch is, it's a really slow weapon, and if you're firing from long range, the target can die or hide before it gets in there, and its warhead is actually pretty light for a top-tier missile. Since it's an IR-guided weapon, you can't manually target weak spots like you can with the Hellfires, and they just go in targeting center of mass, which isn't always a great place to hit. I found that sometimes it took 2 or 3 hits from the Spike to pop a main battle tank, compared to 1 or 2 with the Hellfires. Now, the Spikes can be used against air targets as well, but just remember, they're IR guided, so they can be flared off. And they're still really slow. In short, the Spike gives you better mission flexibility, as you can be a lot more mobile and sneaky when you're using them, but the Hellfires pop targets more reliably on a hit. Now, using this helicopter in PvE battles, oh boy, are the Spikes a huge advantage there. You can ripple off all 8 missiles into the clusters of AI ground targets and rack up lots of points really quickly. However, since this is currently the end of the line for the French helicopter tree, the only reason you'd want to do this game mode at all is just to farm Silver Lions, and the RP gains are basically wasted, but still, this is a great helicopter for the PvE game mode. Visually, all of the Eurocopter Tigers are pretty decent looking attack helicopters, and this one really isn't any different. You only get 2 paint jobs, a tricolor woodland and a desert, but they're both reasonably well detailed. Landing this helicopter is pretty basic, and its high flight stability helps you do rolling landings if that's your thing. But just make sure if you're landing from a traditional hover, you lock up the brakes as soon as you set down, as this one has a tendency to roll around a bit, a little more than usual if you don't. To close out on the EC-665 Tiger HAD Block 2. This helicopter has a fully featured sensor suite, it gets the Fire and Forget Spike ER missile, it's fully aerobatic, and it's generally just easy to fly. However, it can run out of countermeasures kinda quickly if you leave the missile approach warning system turned on. It only has 4 weapon pylons, and it's still pretty easy to shoot down if you get in too close to the battlefield. The final verdict on the Tiger HAD Block 2 is that this is a very linear upgrade from the Tiger before it in the tech tree, but the Spike ER missiles are a meaningful upgrade, and they completely change the combat tactics you can use. As always, thanks for watching.